District will come to order. Roll call, please. Here.
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 Mr. Martin. Here.
Is there any public comment on any of the items listed for closed session? Any speaker cards?
No
Trustee
speaker
Osterling?
cards in hand yet.
Thank you. In that case, we will adjourn to closed session. The Pasadena Area Community College District meeting of Wednesday, April 19th, 2017 will resume in open session. We have one reportable item from closed session. By unanimous vote, the board took action pursuant to Education Code Section 87734 to issue a faculty member a notice of unprofessional conduct. Roll call, please.
Dr. Selvage.
Here.
Dr. Fellow.
Here.
Mr. Osterling.
Here.
Ms. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Hilsman.
Here.
Mr. Martin.
Here.
Ms. Waugh.
Here.
Ms. Garipian.
Here.
Thank you. We now have the Pledge of Allegiance. I will lead. Stand and place the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Approval and reordering of agenda items. Do any trustees request a reordering of the agenda items?
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Advisory vote?
Aye.
Trustees? Passes 7-0-0 with the advisory vote in favor. Introductions and recognitions? We have none. Public comment on non-agenda items. Trustee Osterling, do we have any speaker cards for non-agenda items?
We have one speaker card tonight, Mr. Martin Enriquez. I'll give you a 30-second warning.
Thank you. Good evening, honorable trustees and assembled persons. I'm just going to read into the records some of my letter of January 7th. I forwarded to the 4 trustees that I didn't do it on January 7th. In regards 2017 Alpha, which is the district that I compiled together, in Beta, which is the next one, is more precise and more by total population. It is almost right on the button, within 98% accuracy. The Chicano, Hispano, Indigenous, Latino population is 36,541, or 64.46%. The voting age population of the district that I drew is 24,624, or 59.71. Like I said, the beta version of this is better, and it's only 1/4% from the ideal population. It's supported by Evenwell versus Abbott that was just decided last year on April 4th. It reinforced and fortified all the work that I've been doing since 1991. And if this, I've already given a facsimile of this to Mary, you'll see that the area west of Lake Avenue, including East Arroyo, the area around Devil's Gate, and West Altadena, will be the creation of a minority-influenced seat, which will contain nearly 20,000 African Americans. Also, the northwest of Pasadena, including West Altadena, would be under the Senate factors mentioned in 1982 when they reenacted the Voting Rights Act. And one of them is the legacy, both economic, schooling, and other educational attainment, the poverty rate. So it is quite feasible to create this influence seat.
30 seconds.
I thank you. In the letter, I also described the difference between 50% plus 1 and 51%. I do the math for you. But nonetheless, if you look at what I did in 1991 for those same areas, you will see there's a strong parallel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Enriquez.
With no further public comment on non-agenda items, approval of minutes for April 5, 2017.
Move to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? Advisory vote?
Aye.
Trustees? Passes 6-0, 1 abstention, and advisory vote, yes. Consent items. Approve professional development activities for student equity program.
Move to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? Advisory vote?
Aye.
Trustees? Passes 7-0 with advisory voting yes. Consent items, instruction.
Move to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? Advisory vote?
Aye.
Trustees? Passes 7-0 with advisory voting yes. Consent items, personnel. Oh, I thought. Oh, is that the, oh, sorry, right. Yeah, consent items, business, this is F on the agenda.
Mr. President, we have, the college is going to pull one item from that.
Dr. Verdian, we'd like to pull consent item F12 for review with the Budget and Audit Committee next week.
Okay, thank you.
And we will bring it back for the next board meeting.
Right, thank you. Is there a motion for the consent items
Move to
other than that?
approve.
Second?
Any discussion? Advisory vote?
Aye.
Trustees? Passes 7-0 with advisory voting yes. Consent items, personnel. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second?
Any discussion? Advisory vote?
No advisory.
No advisory.
Oh,
vote.
excuse me,
No
no advisory
advisory
vote on
vote.
personnel matters. Trustees? Passes 7-0. Action items recommended for approval. California Community College Trustees Board election. President Verdian?
Well, this is the election of the members of the California Community College Board of Trustees, and it is a trustee item, and the board will be choosing their candidates.
So, as I reported out 2 meetings ago, I gave you sort of the statistics and the breakdown of the male-female representation, urban versus rural, and Northern California versus Southern California. So I'm recommending that we vote for all 7 incumbents. That leaves 2 open seats. So my recommendations for the other 2 seats are based on candidates who represent an area that we don't have representation in now, meaning either more in rural, probably more in Northern California, since we do seem to be heavier in Southern California. And also, I also base this on candidates who showed some interest in working with the league, had been active in various league activities, and also had shown leadership in their own positions in their college, as well as other educational programs. And whether or not they were actually campaigning, I think that if you're interested in going for this, you ought to be campaigning and trying to urge your fellow trustees to vote for you. So I thought there were 3 really good candidates, and I'll recommend the 2, I think. Lauren Steck from Monterey Peninsula has been involved with the CCLC. He has campaigned. He's run 3 times for this position, and he has served a number of leadership positions on various committees in the league as well as in his own district, although he has not served as board chair. But Lauren has done considerable outreach to all of the trustees, urging a vote for him, and is very interested in joining the league. John Leal is from State Center Community College. He's very active in the CCLC. He's part of the Latino Joint Advisory, and he's also one of the directors. He's running for a director position on the ACCT, and he is also one of the directors for the Northwest or Pacific Northwest Diversity Committee. Richard Waters from Ohlone he has not really participated in a lot of the league activities, but he's certainly shown a lot of leadership in his own college. He's from Ohlone Community College District, and he is a college administrator. So of those 3, I'm recommending Lauren Steck and John Leal for the remaining 2 positions.
So your recommendation is that we go with the incumbents plus those 2?
Correct.
Correct. Thank you. Any other discussion?
A question here.
Questions? Oh, Jeff Rustling.
I was just going to add to that John Leal has been extremely active and participates extensively in the trustee conferences that I've attended.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
So although I haven't had a chance to personally research any of these, I would move that we approve the slate that Linda has suggested, because we trust her implicitly.
Second.
Well, thank you.
Okay, any discussion? I have.
Is that Fresno?
Trustee Fowle?
No, I just want to vote.
Indeed. I want to add that I've known Lauren Steck probably for 30 years, maybe more. He and I both own Morgan Sports Cars. So that's a strong recommendation. And,
Well,
and after all these years, we
a
end up
problem.
both as community college trustees.
Don't hinder his candidacy.
No, no,
Part of the 1%, obviously.
That's right. Yeah. So anyway, I was glad to see Lauren's name down here, and I know he's a fine candidate. So any further comments, discussion? Okay, advisory vote?
Aye.
Trustees? Motion passes 7-0 with the advisory vote yes. Information items, technology master plan.
We will be presenting to you a report on our technology master plan for the college, and our interim executive director, Matt Kiaman, will give us a presentation on that. Matt?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Verdian. Good evening, members of the board. I'm going to provide a brief overview of the Technology Master Plan, and so let's get started. The overview is going to cover the development of the plan, some highlights about the plan, and we'll open it up to questions. The development of the plan started a little over a year ago. The development of the plan started in the District Technology Committee. The District Technology Committee is a standing committee of the College Council, and within the charge of the committee is to develop the technology plan. So that's where we started. The committee includes membership from students, faculty, classified, and management, so all areas of the college. Excuse me. So in developing the plan, constituent input is very important. So we had at least 7 rounds where we solicited input. The first round started back in February 2016, where we conducted a technology survey. The technology survey was used to develop a first draft of the plan. In August 2016, that first draft was ready, and it was posted online for suggestions and comments from the college and the community. We also conducted 3 open forums to also collect input. One forum was held at the Rosemead campus, one at the Foothill campus, and one at the Colorado campus. The input from the online submissions as well as the open forums helped develop a second draft that was submitted to the College Council, where we received additional feedback, and we used all of that feedback to develop a final draft that went to the College Council in December of 2016. And the College Council approved it, and so that's what we have now. So that was the development of the plan. Let me tell you a little about the actual plan itself. The plan is a 4-year plan. It aligns with the Educational Master Plan as well as ACCJC standards, specifically 3C, which covers technology resources. The plan has 36 recommendations, of which we've been working on the plan for about a year now. We're actually in progress on 16 of them, and 2 of them have actually been completed. The 36 recommendations could be categorized in 4 areas. So 14 of the recommendations are on areas of system and process improvements. So this is us using technology and improving our processes to be more efficient college-wide, and so we can deliver a better product to our students. 10 of the recommendations are in the area of training and support. So this was a big item of feedback every time we reached out for input. Technology support and training was a common request. And so that makes sense because we want, every time we put technology out there, knowing how to use it effectively will allow the college to get the maximum value out of it and minimize frustration. 7 of the recommendations were on maintaining state-of-the-art technology. So we have quite a bit of technology out there, and we'll talk about this on the next slide, but we have to have processes to keep it current. 5 of the recommendations were on the area of disaster preparedness and redundancy. The many institutions, including our own, rely heavily on technology for our operations, and so it's important that we take steps to make sure that we can continue to operate in the face of a disaster. And finally, the plan, as I mentioned, is a 4-year plan, but technology changes quickly, as do the requirements from many areas of the college, and so we intend to update the plan annually. As I mentioned on the previous slide, keeping technology current was one of the groups of recommendations, and so it's actually a part of the ACCJC standards, and it asks for the institution to continuously plan for and update and replace technology. And so we put in recommendations for different parts of our technology infrastructure. So, and we added cost to these. And so we have approximately 3,200 computers and laptops out there, and So we've attached a refresh cost to that. We have 260 smart classrooms across all of our locations. And so the recommended refresh is to replace those every 8 years. We want to make sure the equipment out in classrooms function consistently, so 8 years is a recommendation that we're finding to be successful. We also have a lot of network equipment that keeps everything working. The technology on campus relies heavily on the network to function. And so we have a recommended refresh rate ranging between 5 to 10 years. 10 years for some of the equipment at the periphery of the network, and 5 years for the more centralized equipment that all of the network relies on. So we don't want those systems failing because everybody will feel it, and so that's why we recommend a quicker refresh rate for the more critical components. We recommended a refresh rate for the safety systems we have on campus, and what that's referring to is security cameras, emergency dialers, as well as other security systems we have on campus to keep our employees and our students safe. And finally, we have servers on campus, and as we talk about disaster preparedness, many of our systems and our services rely heavily on these servers, and so again, we recommend 5 years on that equipment. And that was a very brief overview, and so I'd like to open it up to questions if there are any.
Trustee Brown?
Thank you. I do have one question for you. So your constituent input, who were these?
So the open forums were open to everybody. The online forums were also open to everybody. We conducted the technology survey of employees, and throughout the process that we use to vet anything through College Council, there's membership both on the standing committee within the District Technology Committee from students, faculty, classified and management, both at the District Technology Committee level as well as the College Council level.
I'm actually trying to find out who makes up your committee. I understand the vetting, but I know if it's a 4-year plan, you should have a standing committee. What group of the college constituents are part? That's our students on board or faculty. That's what I'm trying to understand.
Sure. There are 2 members, there's 2 standing members from the student associate. Associated Students appoints 2 students to the District Technology Committee. The Academic Senate also appoints 3 faculty members to the committee. In fact, the co-chair is from the faculty area, along with the person in charge of district technology. So we co-chair the committee. There are 3 members of the management committee, management association, as well as 3 members from the classified senate.
Great, thanks.
Trustee Watt?
Yeah, so did we actually see the technology plan? I don't know if I ever saw it. Was it actually given to the board for review or not? No?
I don't know if it,
But it's on the website, is that?
yes, it's on the website, and
So we could review it in more detail, or? if
And we can also send you a link to the website to everybody, and then if you have further questions after you've read the plan, you can direct them directly to my office, and we will make sure we provide
Okay,
answers.
good. I was just wondering if I was asleep at one of the meetings. Okay, so I have a couple of questions. So one of the things I have always asked about was the replacement plan, and so it's really, I'm glad to see that there's an overall plan, but, obviously you're not going to replace 3,200 laptops and computers all at year 5. You're going to do it in some cycle, right?
correct, that's an excellent question. So as far as the breakup, we like to break it up every year so there isn't like a budget shock because it'd be very tough to do 3,200 computers
Sure.
all at once, both operationally and budget-wise. Secondly, those refresh cycles that we recommended is not something that says, just because all of our computers hit 5 years, and so we're going to throw them out and buy new ones. So in some cases, a kiosk, for example, does not need to be replaced when it's, just because it's 5 years old. We could get, more years out of that, 7, 8 sometimes, maybe even depending on the equipment and the needs, that can vary. And so we wanted to provide a recommendation generally for most computers.
Right, because I'm thinking, like your graphics computers are going to have to be probably replaced more often than 5 years because
That's
the
correct.
technology will change considerably. So one of the things I always ask about when we go through and we approve budgets is I see the technology replacement, and it almost looks to me like we're replacing almost $1 million every time we have a meeting, but I'm sure that's not true. So I would just suggest that if there was a way for us, when those approval items come to us in the budget, that we connect it and we say it's part of the 5-year refresh or part of the 3-year. That way we know there's kind of a spend down over 5 years and we know what that accumulation is going to
Well,
look like.
henceforth, whenever we submit a request for funding for technology, we will make sure that we attach an explanation as to where it is coming and what part of the technology plan is being addressed by it.
Great, yeah, I think that would be helpful for the trustees. And then the other thing I was going to make a suggestion on is, especially now with the strong workforce and the CTE recommendations and building strong partnerships with industry, and because technology changes so quickly, while we internally, it's right for us to describe and to identify what the user and internal needs are, but externally, the technology is really influenced by a lot of industry, and I think it's really, and I've mentioned this several times, I think it's really helpful to bring in sort of a blue ribbon expert advisory that helps us really understand what the next hoop is that we're jumping through in technology. And I think this is a really opportune time for us to look at this, because as we're building that strong partnership with the technology industry and our CTE programs, it would be a good way for us to kind of have that bridge into those partnerships. So those would be my recommendations. But thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Trustee Wall.
Trustee Hillsman.
Yeah, I'd second what Linda had said about the industry input. I do think that's really important, and you can kill several birds with one stone here. Right? You can talk about curriculum changes, talk about technology upgrades, and all that. So that's going to be part of the process that I'm sure you'll be part of. I just had a quick question. Mobile devices. What's the status of and the future of mobile devices on campus and their utility in terms of college deployment?
Well, we do have many mobile devices out. We have many tablets out there right now, and we have some instructors that are actually incorporating that into their curriculum. And so we support that both at the endpoint level as far as the actual device, but also from the level of the infrastructure that needs to support that. So when we talk about keeping the network current and refreshed, several years ago, we may remember the time where the wireless network was very slow, and that's why we've pushed to have a process to keep our network infrastructure up to date, to keep up with all the mobile devices that are growing out there.
Any other questions? I have a couple. Any other? Trustee Osterling.
Thank you. Matthew, some of these, I'm on your slide 6, the refresh, technology refresh. Some of these, it's hard for us lay people to know what it is and how much it costs, but the first two items we can kind of understand and
Sure.
get a grasp of. So the 3,200 desktops/laptops every 5 years, if you do that even flow at $775 a year, that's about $1,200 per laptop desktop. That doesn't sound too out of whack, but it does seem a little bit high given the cost of the continuing declining cost of technology. And then line item number 2, same basic observation. If we refresh our presentation systems every 8 years, even flow for 260 smart rooms, that's about 20,300 for each system, and that does seem high. Those costs have gone down considerably with the technology curve.
Correct. So some of on the smart classroom equipment specifically, those cost estimates have been based on recent upgrades that included some furniture as well, that like height adjustable lecterns for or universal design initiatives. And so looking to the future, some of the equipment doesn't necessarily need to be replaced at 8 years. Like a large lectern may be something that we could do every other refresh cycle. So I agree that once we get all the rooms to the standard that we need to, the $20,000 per room estimate will likely drop if we're talking about just projectors and some of the less costly equipment.
Yeah, and I'm probably splitting hairs, but adjustable height lectern sounds like FF&E as opposed to technology, but that's probably hair splitting. No further questions.
Okay, thank you. I've got two questions, and I fully appreciate that these are dollar figures, and gosh, they go out 8 years, 10 years in some cases. I know they're illustrative. Well, I hope a little better than illustrative. Sure. They add up to about, in all these 5 categories, about $2 million a year. For the counterparts of what you have here right now, over the last couple of years, about how much do you think we spent? This is a $2 million a year approximately deal. Were we spending maybe $1 million a year on these items last year, the year before, or just ballpark? I'm not asking for direct, precise figures.
If we look at all of the funding sources that we use to address the needs, around $1 million a year is about where we're at.
Okay, so this is going to bump that by about $1 million a year.
If we intend to hit the pace of some of the equipment that we're estimating right now, yes.
Yeah.
And again, with budgetary estimates, sometimes we aim a little higher just to be on the safe side, and if we need to adjust lower, we can.
Okay, thank you. And one other thing, as we cycle through this technology equipment, when it's obsolete for our purposes and we get rid of it, do we ever sell it, or do we just turn it into a recycler? And if we sell it, if we get any money for these pieces of equipment that are no longer up to our requirements, does the money that we get for that go back into technology, or does it just kind of go into a general pot of money that gets parceled out?
Ask Dr. Stordi to answer that question.
Sure.
It would be appropriate for it to stay in technology. But
Right. What we do is, when we can, we'll surplus the equipment, and we will sell it. Usually, the equipment has a very low value, if anything at all, and usually it's hard to even give away. But when we are able to sell it, the money can be used to offset the replacement of the equipment.
yeah, earmarking it for technology would be natural to the extent we ever get it.
Exactly.
Get something. Okay, thank you very much. Very good report. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Superintendent, President's report.
Thank you, President Selvage. I want to start by addressing the serious incident of sexual assault that took place on our campus earlier this month. This incident is an affront to the values shared by PCC's faculty, staff, and students. We are marshaling every resource at our disposal to ensure campus safety, provide a safe learning environment for our students, and bring the perpetrator to justice. Police Chief Machan has stepped up security across campus, and we are educating our faculty, staff, and managers and students on the appropriate steps to be taken in response to incidents of this sort. Lastly, our hearts go out to the victim and his family and friends. To continue on the topic of safety, I want to remind everyone that we will be hosting an active shooter drill on May 10th and May 11th at all of our campuses during the day and the evening. This is an important exercise to make sure our campus is prepared to respond to threats of this type. Our public safety team is preparing for this event, and I am looking forward to 100% participation from everyone on campus. Next week, we will be hosting our regular Superintendent Principal Luncheon, in which we invite educators from across our district to better understand PCC's programs, and it is also an opportunity for us to better understand the other education providers in our area. We look forward to a successful event, and I hope you can join us if you are available. I also want to draw attention tonight to our institutional effectiveness team, led by Crystal Colrose. The team has been recognized with an Excellence in College Research Award from the Research and Planning Group for California Community Colleges. Crystal and her team will present their findings on the cost-effectiveness of our Pathways program at the 2017 Research and Planning Conference in San Francisco this weekend, where they will also collect their award. Our foundation is accepting nominations for the RISA Awards, top honors given every year to a member of our faculty and a member of our staff. These awards recognize outstanding achievement by members of the PCC community, and I encourage nominations from all corners of our college. I also want to thank many of our senior staff and trustees who turned out to a special breakfast at the Brookside Country Club last Saturday morning. The occasion was to recognize one of our very own, Trustee Berlinda Brown, who was crowned a Woman of Achievement by the Pasadena San Gabriel Valley Journal. Trustee Brown, congratulations.
Thank you.
Tomorrow I will be going to UC Davis as part of my role as a Wheelhouse Fellow in the Community College Leadership Seminar Series. And then following that, I will be attending the AACC convention in New Orleans, and the CEO, Walter Bumpus, has informed all the Aspen colleges that the top 10 colleges will be recognized one more time at the event in New Orleans. And this concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Announcements by shared governance representatives, and I see none this evening.
Zero.
That's proposed, and Board of Trustees, okay. Student trustee.
All right. So next Monday, April 24th, is the 102nd anniversary of the Armenian Genocide. The Armenian Student Association and the Associated Students are hosting our annual Armenian Genocide commemoration event April 26th, 8 p.m. at Westerbeck Recital Hall. This year, we're honored to have our keynote speaker, Dr. Kay Muradian, who is a professor emerito from LACC. We're really glad to have her because her mother was actually a survivor of the genocide, and she produced a film that she advocates to show in high schools that puts the Armenian genocide in history books. So we are very, very glad to have her. We would love it if the board could attend, or any member of the public who would like to join us that evening. I will also send out a flyer regarding the information. And also, Associated Students is hosting Sustainability Week next week. So we're going to be out in the quad, hopefully collecting recyclables from the PCC community. Thank you.
Trustee Brown.
Yeah, please. Thank you. So I want to take this opportunity to thank my PCC family for your love and support during the most critical and painful time in my life. Your kind words, cards, your flowers, your food, and your presence at the memorial services for Vernon showed how much you really care for us. My family and I cannot find enough words to express our gratitude towards you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Trustee Hilsman.
Yes, I wanted to thank Dr. Story, Reuben Smith, the chief, for the work you do on the neighborhood council. I know it's not always the most exciting duty that you have in the evenings, but it's much appreciated by the neighbors, and I think that that open communication is great. I also wanted to say to our student representative that there's a new movie out called The Promise, which is a screenwriter friend of mine was involved in, and is an epic story of the Armenian genocide. So it's something that would be, I think, educational and entertaining, enlightening for everybody. No plug intended.
Trustee Fellow.
Yes, thank you. I also want to congratulate Trustee Brown. It was a very nice event, and she is the most popular person in the community. I think she received the most applause, and that was very nice to see in her family. It was nice to see them again. I also want to do some more congratulations to Dr. Olivo, who I just realized, just found out she's been going to the Aspen Leadership Institute in summer, and she's on her way to becoming a future president.
Amen.
And I also want to congratulate the Music, Drama, and Communications Department. The production of In the Heights was stellar. Last week I went and saw April in Paris, and I would go back and see our production at PCC before I saw that one again. So it was outstanding, and we should be very proud of that. I also want to mention again, I've said this many times, getting back to Dr. Olivo and the Leadership Institute, that I really would like to see PCC someday have a Leadership Institute here for faculty and staff to maybe a yearly, what we do is the university is a yearly, monthly meetings, training in leadership. Because I think it's always important to bring faculty and staff that we have here up to the leadership ranks eventually. So thank you.
Trustee Osterling.
Not only did Trustee Brown have the largest contingent at the Women of Achievement Awards at Brookside this past weekend, but she had the loudest and strongest support as well. It was congratulations, and it was fun to be there and share in the award, in the ceremony. As our representative to LACSTA, on Thursday, May 4th, there's going to be a dinner celebrating educational excellence in Los Angeles County, and I bring this up because Pasadena Unified School District is going to be awarded a Golden Bell Award, and specifically for building a healthy school environment. So I'll be there to recognize them and encourage other trustees and members of our community to attend as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Trustee Martin.
No report.
Trustee Wah.
Yes, I was sorry to miss Trustee Brown's event. I had it down for next Saturday, but anyway, congratulations. I also want to congratulate the Academic Senate on their elections, and so I know we all look forward to working with Dr. Foster and her cabinet again. And I participated this past week on Tech Savvy, which was hosted by the Association of American University Women, for which PCC is also a member, and with Melva, who always brings out her great group of women, young students who really help mentor young women coming up in technology and STEM fields, encouraging them to study in STEM. And I also attended In the Heights, which I thought was, I agree with Trustee Fellow, was just really an excellent production. And I want to congratulate PCC and under Dr. Bell, who purchased a Pasadena Playhouse night, I believe, for the originalist. Is that right? That is probably one of the most important plays I think that we'll see in this decade. It's about the Anton Scalia, and I think this. I hope that many of our students and our faculty have a chance to see this production. It's just really excellent. And then I want to remind everyone that the League will be having their our annual trustee conference in Tahoe, the beginning of May, so May 4th to the 8th, and the joint caucuses, Latinos, African Americans, APIs, and the veterans will be coming together, and we'll be hosting a concurrent session talking about the priorities for the caucuses across our constituencies. So I hope a lot of you will be able to attend.
Thank you very much. One advantage or disadvantage of being last is a lot of what I might say has already been said, but I will mention a couple of additional things. One, the progress on the Veterans Resource Center is coming along, and I think the end of May, President Verdian, is when the expected to be.
I do believe it's the end of May, right, Ruben? The Veterans Center. Fall.
Fall. Oh, okay. I misunderstood some material that we received. Okay, thank you. I am also going to be attending the trustees conference at the end of this month, along with Trustee Wah. And I have no further announcements. Future board business meeting dates. Do any trustees have any comments on the calendar that was in our package? I don't think there was a... So, yeah, it's the same as 2 weeks ago. Hearing none, proposed future agenda items. Do any trustees have any specific items they would like addressed on future agendas? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.